Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Witty Comic Book Roundup. We're most way through the roundup, so let's keep on trucking along. Kicking things off, we've got Deadpool Batter Blood, #1. The sequel that I guess someone asked for. This is obviously a sequel to last year's Deadpool Bad Blood miniseries, bringing Rob Liefeld back to character he's likely most famous for most well known for creating. In Bad Blood, Deadpool was having to deal with a new enemy named Thumper, whom he had been having to deal with quite a bit. Turns out Thumper was being utilized by Weapon X as a weapon against Deadpool, and Thumper was revealed to actually have been Deadpool's high school best friend who just wanted to be like Wade. So, we open in at a safe house of Cable's. No, not Cable. Of a Weapon X scientist who is currently the target of Thumper. But Wolverine and Cable body slide in, distract Thumper, and then take the professor with them, saving him from Thumper. Later, Deadpool shows up at Cable's safe house, figuring that they brought the doc there so that Wade could kill himself. But they want to know why Thumper was going after him. This leads Deadpool to go to Madripoor, where he talks to Tiger. Apparently she's on a list of underworld figures that Thumper's going after. But Thumper has decided instead to form an alliance with Tiger. A fight ensues, but during the fight, Thumper is subdued and captured, as is Wade. And they're taken to none other than Mojo World, where Deadpool finds himself face to face with, what appears to be a female version of Shatterstar. And that is where the issue ends. It's dumb, mindless action, which, hey, there's something to be said for that. Like I said, I can't imagine that there was a massive groundswell of people asking for a sequel to Bad Blood, but oh well. Moving on, though, to our next book, we have Storm, #1. This is late. Marvel has been putting out miniseries focusing on X-Men characters. Set in earlier eras, usually, for example, the Gambit miniseries that was set shortly after his first appearance. This is set in the period where this is around the time of Uncanny X-Men number 176. So it begins with the X-Men facing off against Freedom Force at an amusement park. Storm is watching how the team reacts. They have a plan, and there's a plan, and, well, he's trying to see just how well that plan is executed. A primary note is that Rogue hit Mystique a little harder than she probably should have, and while Kitty was supposed to phase through Destiny in an effort to disrupt her powers, she didn't do so, but Storm had a backup for that. The backup being Nightcrawler, basically having Nightcrawler teleport around Destiny enough that she's too dizzy to predict her next moves. But the Brotherhood escapes. Storm tells the X-Men, kind of okay, this is what you did right, this is what you did wrong. Rogue and Kitty especially take the brunt of this, with Kitty lashing out at Storm, feeling like, she hardly even knows Storm anymore. But afterwards, the team goes swimming, while Storm gets a bit of a pep talk about being team leader from Logan. While swimming, a rather strong undertow nearly sucks in Storm, but she gets out. She uses her powers to part a wave that would have dragged a young child to sea. That night, the X-Men leave the beach. Rogue and Kitty opt to go and cause trouble. While Storm's riding away, she comes upon another biker by the name of Travis. He's he's in town for a tech conference, the Planet Expo. Travis and Storm talk a bit. Travis explains what it is he does, what it is he's working on. It's called Neotech. Explained it was built with bioorganic nanotech. He's got small models to show off their potential. If we can get more funding at the Planet Expo, they can be built large scale. The Neotech vacuums up smoke and converts it to clean air, neutralizing carbon monoxide. Demonstrates with the exhaust from his bike. Storm and Travis ride around a bit. Shortly after Storm returns to the mansion, Kitty and Rogue return. Apparently Kitty has got a couple tattoos. They're presumably fake, as I think it was stated back in the first Marauders run, that her first tattoo, she got her first tattoo after one of the Marauders' various missions. Storm has an argument with Kitty. Xavier breaks it up and asks to speak to Kitty and then Rogue. Storm goes on a ride, trying to find Travis's boathouse, the boathouse that Travis is staying at. The weather, she's she's questioning her powers. That's kind of the big thing, but a cloaked entity appears. Storm fights this cloaked entity, but ends up being dragged down into the ocean. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting start. Andy said he does great work with Marvel characters, always has. I like the fact that with these miniseries set in previous eras, that they're getting writers from those, either the writers who were writing the character at that time, or writers who were prevalent at the time to write these, kind of giving them a feeling, leading them to feel like it's something that easily slots in with the previous books. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Daredevil and Echo, #1. So, Daredevil and Echo do have some history. Echo was introduced, if I remember correctly, during David Mack's run on Daredevil. And she was a brief romantic interest of Matt's. Matt also suggested her to Captain America for the New Avengers when Cap was forming them, and she took on the identity of Ronin. This would lead to her joining the New Avengers after the events of Civil War. So, yeah. Anyway, we have two stories in this. So, two plot lines, basically. One is Manhattan, 1835. Tommy Murdoch used to be a member of various street gangs in what's now known as Hell's Kitchen. However, he helped build a church in the area, and he found God. Helped build a church. Tried to bring his mates in, but well, they weren't too interested. Near the church, there's a fight between rival gangs. In the present, Daredevil is Daredevil, swinging through the city. But there's a killer on the loose. Killer taking a pound of flesh from his victims. And a young woman and her son have just stumbled upon his third victim. However, this third victim is someone that Daredevil knows. He sends Elektra. He has Elektra learn what she can from the police, who will eventually be coming on scene. Back in the 1830s, more bodies are piling up in Manhattan, with large chunks of flesh gone. Tommy talked with his boys about it, and a native woman comes to visit them, explaining that she knows who it is they're going at, that's troubling them. Native woman who's referred to by most at the time as Creeping Death. It should be noted that she has a white handprint on her face, much like Echo does. In the present, Daredevil goes to speak with Echo until apparently this most recent victim was a man named Colin Barker, a friend of hers. Matt does what he can to comfort Echo, but there's a young girl that he senses and Echo sees. Echo is deaf, after all, who appears to have sonic abilities, and she utilizes them against the two. They manage to calm her down, and Echo explains that, well, the young girl's deaf. So Echo asks if the girl needs help. In the past, Creeping Death explains what's going on. And apparently the church that Tommy helped build is the key to the whole thing. The land beneath the foundation is tainted. And so the plan is they're going to go into the church and untaint the land. This is interspersed with them arriving at the church is interspersed with Daredevil and Echo arriving at the same church in the present. The church in the present is condemned. The altar in ruins. We learned in the past that the altar itself came from Italy and has a hidden mass, an entrance to a hidden catacombs. Creeping Death goes in. In the present, Demon Goblin, Shriek with the demon that once possessed Hobgoblin, flies out of the hole. Apparently she is working with the demon known as the Blind One. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting start. I really like the back and forth, and the parallels especially of Tommy Murdoch, who is presumably an ancestor of Matt Murdoch's, and Creeping Death, who I assume has an ancestral relationship to Echo as well. I think that's actually I think it's a neat little thing to do with that. And as much as I love comics with Daredevil and Elektra working together, Echo is a character that I came to like during New Avengers. Hell, I came to know her at all during New Avengers, and I sadly feel like she's been grossly underused over the years. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Groot, number 2. Where we left off, Private Marvel and his captain, Solar, had gone to Planet X in search of the spoilers, and also to take Groot and his compatriots back home. They arrived, but the planet seems eerily quiet. There's a brief moment where Solar thought he heard or saw something in the trees, but they're soon attacked by Chainosaurs. Solar is eventually killed by one of them, but a Centauri hunter shows up and saves Marvel. Apparently, this Yondar, the Centauri hunter, is able to a degree at least, understand Groot, as Groot vouches for Marvel. Yondar is willing to work with him, but it seems that Planet X is the lair of the spoilers. There's a disruption field, however, around the planet, making it so that while Marvel has just learned that the spoilers' home base is on Planet X, well, he can't communicate, and most likely it's just been destroyed. In the attempt to take down the spoilers, however, Marvel points out that a Star Force captain be present, and so he is obliged to assume the brevet rank of captain until further notice. Groot agrees with Mar-Vell's plan, and they travel to the point where the leader of the spoilers, Ags, is known to be, known as the Deadwoods. And it's pretty much exactly how it sounds. It's a chunk of forest that's very clearly dead. Mar-Vell thinks he sees some trees ahead, though Yondar points out that they're not trees, nor chainsaws. Yondar and Mar-Vell do what they can against the chainsaws, while also trying to protect Groot when Ags makes his presence known. And apparently Ags is seems to be a corrupted version of a corrupted member of Groot's species. And that is where the issue ends. I'm digging this book. It makes for a nice little story of Groot's early days. Also, always nice to see Mar-Vell. Moving on, though, to our next book, we have Loki, #1. This is the first issue to, I think it's a 5-issue miniseries, obviously centered on Loki. So, in Norse mythology, Loki once built a ship that would be used to attack the gods during Ragnarok. The ship was built from the fingernails of the dead. Because of this, Norse tradition would have had the dead properly groomed, including having their fingernails cut to the quick. However, Loki was able to find enough fingernails to build his ship. It was eventually chained up in an Asgardian storehouse until a couple of frost giants came along. In the present, Thor is meeting with his brother, and, well, as Thor is wont to do where Loki's concerned, lecturing him, as Loki is not in Jotunheim. He's in Florida. A joke is made about Loki implies that he is Florida Man. All those Florida Man stories, it's all Loki. Apparently, he also has commanded the Frost Giants to learn how to read. But the ship has been stolen by a couple of the Frost Giants. And, well, they didn't read up on sailing. So it hits the World Tree, breaking part of it into 3 separate pieces. Loki and Thor go to investigate. Loki shrinks down the ship, puts it in a jar so he can carry it elsewhere. The 3 shards, one ends up on Nidavellir, one on Midgard, and one elsewhere. But Loki digs through his possessions for his sword and armor, talks to some of the Frost Giants, trying to figure out what the plan was with these, when it came to these 2 renegades stealing his ship. But Loki goes and retrieves the shard. Well, goes to Nidavellir to retrieve the first shard. But it's already been found by one of the surviving dwarven smiths, who has fashioned it into a weapon, and is seemingly leading the surviving dwarves. Loki is captured, and it's implied at the end of the issue he's beheaded. Though, given the fact that we don't actually see his head separated from his body, well, I wouldn't exactly put money on Loki having been beheaded. And this is just the first issue. I definitely would not put even a penny on Loki being dead. So far, though, interesting start to the miniseries. I do appreciate when actual points of Norse lore, of actual lore about the Norse gods is utilized in Thor. And there are some interesting tales there, to say the least. I think wacky would probably be the wrong way to describe it, but there are some interesting tales. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Warlock, actually our last book for the moment. We have Warlock Rebirth, number 2. Where we left off, a cocoon similar to Adam Warlock's hatched on Monster Island, and a woman who appeared to be a female version of him popped out, calling herself Eve Warlock. She promptly defeated Adam and took the soul gem for herself. But Adam is elsewhere, without access to his soul gem. He gets caught up in a tempest on Monster Island. Pip, Gamora, and Gina's Feller are trying to figure out what to do with, and Pip gets the idea to take Warlock to Doctor Strange. Eve, meanwhile, has returned to her creator, who's revealed to be the High Evolutionary, and he basically powers her up to fulfill her destiny, also giving her an outfit similar to Adam Warlock's. And she flies off into space. Doctor Strange explains that the essence or soul of Adam Warlock is apparently not present, but he'll see what he can do about finding it. Which leads Doctor Strange to journey in to track down Warlock's soul on Soul World. Apparently, Warlock is content with, okay, his replacement arrived and bested him, and so, yeah, not much else he can really do. But the denizens of Soul World attack him, with Warlock claiming that Soul World always protects him. And that is where the issue ends. It's an interesting miniseries. Again, with the whole utilizing creators from specific eras to tell tales set in those eras is always nice. I do get a kick out of cosmic stuff. I never read any of the 90s cosmic stuff, namely Infinity, like Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch. I knew of the book, but I never actually, like I said, never actually read it. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.